rocking.
Is this where the damn drumming and the music kicks in?
Yeah. What is going on, everybody? Hello and welcome to On the Pipe Podcast. I'm your host, as always, Tyler Shepardson, and today is Monday, June the 12th, 2023, years after zero. We got a very special show coming at you today. We got a whole lot of stuff going on. It's going to be a very exciting show, and I'm going to explain to you why it's such an exciting show. We're going to be joined by a couple of our buddies here in a moment. We'll save the introductions for them. Or for just a minute. But thank you for being here. Thank you for tuning in. Appreciate you being here. This is OTP's weekend review. Although, I will be honest, we're going to talk about some results. Wasn't a whole lot of racing going on. Not as much racing as what there has been in recent weeks. So we're going to run through that, talk about the results, and then we're just going to catch up with some friends. So I'm sure we'll talk about some of the racing action, but we'll also talk about all sorts of stuff going on in the sport. So I don't know if that's a warning or I don't know if that's something to look forward to. But either way, this is going to be a fun episode. It's going to be a fun show. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. If you are new to the show, or I guess not even if you're new to the show, we have gotten a lot of new listeners here in the recent months or so. And if you did not know, the intro that you hear playing at the beginning of this show, it was recorded by a couple of our friends. One of them is a 250 West Supercross champion. That is right. Pro Circuit, Factory Kawasaki, Justin Hill, when he won the championship. That is Justin Hill playing the guitar, and then the drumming, when the drumming kicks in, that is our good buddy Devin Byrum. Devin is going to be joining us here in just a second. Those that have been here for a while know that Devin Byrum was actually the original co-host of the show. He was the inspiration for getting the show started, and pretty much like my neighbor. So he was the one that really got OTP off the ground. I came up with 8 different names for it. He hated them all. So On the Pipe Podcast is actually the one name that he suggested, and we said yes, just so we could stop arguing about it. So we'll talk about that too maybe. But Devin's going to join us. Our friend Briley's going to join us. But before we get into it, I want to let you guys know, Beta Motorcycles. They are the official manufacturer of On the Pipe Podcast. They've been family-owned and operated since 1905. They manufacture the finest enduro, trials, and dual sport motorcycles that are known for their premium quality and rideability. Beta motorcycles are the best-looking bikes on the market, and they back it up with their superior performance. Head over to betausa.com for more information on their available models or to find a dealer near you to get yours today. I got out and got to ride my Beta around this past weekend at the Mideast Hare Scramble. It's a blast. I mean, you don't think of rideability being a thing until you ride a Beta. It's a thing. You just got to get on one. You got to see for yourself. So go to betausa.com. Also, as always, this episode is brought to you in part by Zach Tussle at Raymond James Financial. Zach is a good buddy of the show. Zach is also a financial planner. He can help you with your financial future or to plan for retirement. So if you are already retired or just need help with your financial future, Zach Tussle will be more than happy to help you out, and he's one of us. He's doing the same thing. He's racing dirt bikes. He was on the show. You can go back and listen to that interview with him, hear about his background, his racing background, as well as his professional background. And then you can go to financialadvisorsdenvernc.com, fill out the form, let him know you're a listener of OTP, and get a free consultation to see exactly how he can help you, how it all works, what it all does. Spoiler alert, I say it all the time, you don't have to be a millionaire, you don't have to have a lot of money in the bank, you just have to have a want to save and invest for your future, and Zach can get you started. If you're making minimum wage and you're 18 years old, you are in the best position of anybody that could go see a financial planner. So get a hold of Zach Tussle, let him know you listen to OTP, and he can help you out with your financial future. Also, OTP screen printing. I finally have figured out my processes and how to make the thing work right. So if you need T-shirts made for your business or your brand or whatever you may have, hit me up, shoot us a DM at OTP Screen Printing, otpscreenprinting@gmail.com, or just get a hold of us on the regular OTP channels or my personal channels, TShep704. However you want to get a hold of me, let me know. We can make your T-shirts. Just got done making these T-shirts for original full gas Enduro, Sprint Enduro founder, Jason Hooper. He has a bike shop in Hickory called Carolina Pedal Works. So we just did 3 different shirts for them. This is one of them. So, yeah, got a lot of T-shirts. So if you need one made, let me know. We'll get it done. So now we will move into the rest of our program here. You guys' mics are hot now, so stop saying what you were saying just a second ago. But we're going to bring them in here. Please, everybody, let's give a warm welcome to the show. Original OTP co-host and founder, also intro drummer, Devin Byrum. And then OTP Stellar Machine and Tool Yamaha 25-plus champion, won a full gas championship. You get the point. Bradley Chapman. Welcome to the show, guys.
What's going on, man?
How's it going? Thanks for being here.
Nice to meet you.
I just broke the chair I'm sitting in. I am not kidding. I'm not kidding.
That's what you get for them
Starting strong.
vintage furniture you're into.
What year is that chair from?
I am not kidding. This came out of the original Woodlawn Mill. This is from 1840s. I am not kidding.
And you broke it. You just ruined history.
I shouldn't have brought it, actually.
I remember one time we were doing the show at your house, the original OTP studio, and I broke a chair. And you've never let me live it down ever since then. So now, look at you.
Well, that chair was made,
stretching out my medium shirt and breaking a chair. How you feel about
the
it?
chair you sat on at my house was made out of solid steel. This is like old.
So how about that couch I bought from you? Is it just going to break when I finish it?
Yeah, you should have never bought it from me.
You got a couch?
Yeah.
Vintage one?
Yeah, when we sold out our shop, we sold out a bunch of our old antique stuff, and we
His
conned him
aunt
into
or
getting-
cousin or whatever she is, she like basically was
know.
throwing all this crap on me, making me deals, and
He bought it.
I bought it. It worked.
There's a sucker everywhere, man.
Is it comfortable?
I don't know. I'm still
We're working on it.
Dude, I feel like some of that vintage stuff was made for smaller people. People were smaller back then.
Oh,
People
yeah.
were a lot smaller.
This
back
chair's like a foot off the ground. Couch.
I was like squeezing in it like this, but I'm in my extra large era right now, so.
then. Yeah, dad bod.
We got another guest of the show, Reba McIndoodle, is here with us. You go lay down somewhere. So I guess we'll get right into it. Mainly the races that went on. There was a National Enduro that happened down in Georgia. I don't think they were looking for souls to steal. Could have been. I don't know. But we'll run through those results real quick. Taking the overall win is your series points leader, Grant Baylor. Grant Baylor went out there and I think, did he win I don't remember if he won the last one or not.
I'm not the one to ask.
No.
Anyway, he won this one, and he is winning the points. So, you know what I mean? Added to that points lead. So Grant Baylor takes the win. Liam Draper's been on a little bit of a hot streak, whether you may or may not know. Coming off a GNCC win, he goes out to the Georgia National Enduro and ends up first place in Pro 2, second place overall. And I was talking a little bit to Logan Densmore before we started the show. Logan helps run the National Enduro Series. He believes, and I didn't have time to check it, but I believe that he's right. He's like a aficionado of the sport, so he would know more than most everyone. Believe Liam Draper might have been the first Pro 2 rider to take an overall test win on the day. So Liam Draper, he won Test 4 outright overall. So second place overall on the day. And then Josh Toth, like both, would end up third place on the podium. Ran into him this morning at Carolina Pedal Works when I went and dropped their shirts off. So good ride for him. Second place in class, third place overall. And then Stu Baylor makes his return back to the podium. Been on a little bit of a dry streak in the National Enduro Series, which is odd from a 5-time champion. At least 5.
At least
4 or 5 or 6. He's won several.
A dry streak is odd.
Yeah. And so he makes his return back to the Pro 1 podium, but not the overall podium because Liam Draper got in the money up there. Then Pro 2, obviously Liam Draper took the win. Thorne Devlin, another guy that's been standing out this year, especially those national enduros. He gets second place, and then Stu's teammate / rider, Bubs Tasha, ends up getting third place, rounding out the podium in that Pro 2 class. And then looking over at the women's, Mackenzie Tricker. Looks like she had some issues early on, but was able to dig herself out of that. She takes the win once again, reigning back-to-back-to-back champ. Gets another win. Rachel Guttish goes out, gets second place on the day, and then Corey Steed would end the day third place overall in the women's pro class.
I feel like
Right.
if a Pro 2 winner is the first time winning an overall, someone should know that, right? They shouldn't have to guess about it.
You saying someone like me?
Yeah.
There's not a database to look all this stuff up. It's so hard to find race results. Like, even just going and finding like all these different local races, you cannot find race results. And then National Enduro, you got to go through the live laps thing, and then it gets all convoluted and weird, and you can't look up multiple races at one time. But if Logan said it, I feel like it's true.
Speaking of Stu, it seems like Stu's struggling. And have you talked to him and, like, have any idea of, is he comfortable? Like, what's the deal? Because to me, Stu is not making Stu results.
Yeah.
Especially,
I think everyone would say that, including Stu.
do you have any insider info or anything?
I mean, maybe, you know what I mean? No, I actually talked to him today. But it's one of those things, like, Craig and I kind of talked about it on the show last week about
I think I know what it is.
what?
He's used to drinking Busch Lights, and ever since this whole Anheuser-Busch thing, he probably quit, and he's trying to readjust or something.
I think he switched over to Coors.
That's probably it.
Might
His
be the
body-
issue.
His body's not adjusted yet.
It's rejecting it.
Yeah.
Rejecting the new fluids.
It's just growing pains.
No, I mean, so realistically, and I don't want to harp on it because I don't want last week to sound like we were harping on it or like beating a dead horse or attacking anybody or singling anybody out. But that being said, pretty much everybody that has ridden the KTM is brand new, redesigned this year. Stu's coming off of Yamaha back to KTM, but even people that have been on KTM for the past little bit, they've been having issues with the rear end, issues with the ergonomics, issues with the handling. But I don't know how much of that you can put on a bike. I mean, I don't.
I also feel like we need to preface or put out a disclaimer that I am pretty out of touch with today's racing. Just been with life. I just haven't been following it like I have in the past. So I'm really out of touch. So I will be asking questions, just a heads up. So
No, that's completely fine. And, I mean, that's kind of one of the things that we talked about before coming on here is there's probably a lot of people in that same boat. So, by all means, been keeping up with it the best I can throughout the year. But, yeah, if you have any questions, let me know. But, yeah, I mean, talking to Stu, granted, I haven't – it's like when you get with these pro athletes, and, I mean, that's what they're doing for a paycheck and to feed their families, like – it can be like a sensitive subject. So I try not to like directly be like, hey man, what the hell's up? But I know, like last year when he broke his neck and he came back, he got like a 5th place. And he said that was like his worst finish in like 4 or 5 years. And then this year that's like probably been his average finish.
yeah.
I guess now is a good time. I'm pretty sure Stu's going to be in studio Thursday or Friday. He's racing J-Day this weekend. Up in New York, so he has to travel right past the studio. So either Thursday night or Friday morning, we should have Stu in the stew.
That's awesome. That'll be a good show.
So maybe we can ask him.
Definitely ask him.
I was like, Devin Byrum wants to know.
That name means nothing to him, so that's fine. Put my name on it.
He never ran a Burr seat cover.
No, I think
Do you know who made those?
I don't know.
Why, when
He
we
wasn't
were doing
around
this
long.
show, why didn't you want anybody to know that you made Burr seat covers?
Oh, so did I? I don't know. I don't like to talk about it.
And man, a lot of people liked them. When can we need the resurgence of Burr seat covers.
I've thought about it. I've thrown the idea around.
At least make me one.
No,
At least make me one.
no. I think I even told you I would. No, I haven't yet. For
I
the
think I'm
beta,
the only
supposed-
person that's got like multiples.
Yeah, he's got special edition ones. But
I got 2, I think.
you got one for your YZ. Did you get one for your You had a 250F for a time.
I was an original test rider. 'Cause
So
you
was
remember
Damon Bradshaw. and
You
he
started
hated
out with them.
No,
like,
dude, Damon loved it. That was the highlight of my seat cover career. Like, I went to his brother Zach's house,
it. Mm-hmm.
and Damon was out there riding, and we threw a seat on him. And, dude, he rode one lap, came right back to us, and was like, and I'm not trying to blow
You're just tooting
smoke.
your own
No,
horn.
no. I'm just telling you what he said, and this is a check mark on my list. But he stopped and he said, "This bike, this seat keeps me planted right where I want to be," and like that was the coolest thing ever. You know?
yeah, you
But
instantly had to take your hat off and adjust it a little bit.
my hat.
Yeah.
He's saying you got a big head.
No.
I'm just
See, I
kidding.
should have never said
That is a
anything
good
about that.
accomplishment.
That's why I always wanted to act like
if
I
Damon
wasn't-
Bradshaw tells you it's good, it's probably good.
Yeah. But anyways, onward.
Did you sniff it afterwards?
No, but I do have it.
He's got it framed.
I do have it. Yeah,
I know, I've
I
seen
made I mounted it. I mean, he signed it for me and everything.
The Beast of the East, man. That is cool.
Well, it was kind of a hero growing up. He was a major deal for everybody, certainly in the South.
But didn't they prank call you and say that it sucked?
No, that was
Oh,
Paul had
that was
Randy,
Randy
Hawkins.
Hawkins.
Yeah, and he probably has no recollection of that, but he sure did. He had Paul. Paul filmed him, and it was actually really funny. And I commend Paul on this because it was a pretty good one. But so I was at the upholstery shop, and I get this random text message from Paul because him and Scott were doing a photo shoot with Randy Hawkins. They did a bike or something, some graphics for a magazine bike, for a dirt bike, I think. And they were at Randy's place. So I get this random text message, and it was Randy Hawkins, and he's like, "Yo, we're trying out your seat cover. Your buddy Paul brought it. I just wanted to let you know, man, we all tested it out. I got to say, that was the worst seat cover I've ever rode with, and you need to go back to the drawing board, work out the kinks, and send us back another one." Well, I never sent a seat cover, so I knew, like, he didn't have a seat cover of mine there, but it was still funny because at that time, like, I remember watching Randy as, growing up, and that was cool. But that was just a prank that Paul did, but it was pretty funny.
I knew it was one of them.
He's probably just getting you back for Paul Beardcheck from Armourdville, South Carolina.
On the Pulp Show? Yeah, probably.
We need to get Paul back on the show. Do another
sure we
reunion pod.
Yeah.
I remember when Damon ran that seat with the magazine bike at Full Gas.
Mm-hmm.
That was before I knew you.
Was it?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Because I think you were there, but like I never talked to you.
Was that the one that was at Rock
Lost
House?
Valley, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that was. It was the yellow Yamaha.
Yep. That must have been 2016 or 17. Had to have been 2016.
I lose track of time. I really don't remember.
I think it was 2016.
If that was before we met,
That was 7 years ago. Was that the right math?
I have a
Yeah,
math
sounds
deficiency.
right.
36. No, wait.
Sounds right.
Oh yeah,
3 plus 4 is 7.
Yeah. Says the engineer.
Yeah. Well, you got lower results, I'm sure.
About Mid-East. You missed out on Mid-East.
Well, funny thing about Mideast, we don't have
half the results.
pro Mideast race
Yeah,
results.
I guess no one cares about the amateur.
We'll give the rundown.
That was the
announcer.
first time that I've seen that happen.
There has to be a single-digit time in the whole history of Mid-East that he's canceled a race.
Yeah.
As it's
Canceled.
already going on.
Yeah. It has to,
That's history.
I don't know how many have canceled while it's going on, but like there's been known hurricanes coming that weekend and he didn't cancel. Every race this year has been a mud race.
That's why.
Didn't
That's
cancel.
what was my thing earlier that no one got. Dry streak is uncommon.
Oh, yeah, that went completely over my head. I thought you were trying to make like a inappropriate joke or something. I was like, I don't get it.
It sucked the first time, so say it
Yeah,
again.
no, I won't say it no more.
When you explain it to everybody, that makes it way funnier.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, man, it seems like we can't get away from the rain and get away from the mud, and then we go there this weekend. I'm talking about some of the worst dust that you've ever seen.
No, it wasn't.
On Saturday for the quads?
No, I wasn't there for that.
Dude, I'm telling you, some of the worst dust.
The
that
worst dust I've
seen.
ever seen was 2019 Mason Dixon. I blew up a bike.
That was bad.
That was
That
baby
Jordan
powder.
Ashburn blew up a bike too, while
I
in the
think
overall
me
lead.
and about 300 people did.
Yep. I remember that race because Ashburn was out in front on the Cali, like led 7/8 of the race, and then blew up.
I remember I made you breakfast, and you said that was the best bacon, egg, and cheese you've ever had in your life.
Do you remember that, Tyler?
At Mason-Dixon?
Yeah. And you said, I got to start eating breakfast before all my races because it makes me feel better. I'm like, well, no crap.
I
Yeah.
raced too?
He ain't
Yeah.
stopped eating
Oh, yeah,
yet.
I guess so.
So that's the first time I've ever ate before I raced.
Oh, that's when we went. Molly did the dog show,
Yeah.
and we went and pedaled to the High Point track.
Yep.
I do remember that. Thanks for a sandwich, man. Yeah, that one was insane too. But I just the one thing I remember about that race is that because like at that time Jordan Ashburn hadn't won a race, so then he was out in front and then blew up. Literally led like the majority of the race, and then the race report didn't even mention him. Like they just went through the results and like said who won. I think Caleb probably ended up winning, but like no mention of Jordan Ashburn who led
Who
like
was,
till the last lap.
who
I
are
think.
the announcers?
Probably the same.
Who's
people it's
commentating?
been. No, I'm not. Obviously, let's talk about it on the broadcast. I meant like the official race recap.
Right. I got you. But anyways, talking about the Mid-East, I haven't really talked to you since you've kind of started the announcing with the Mid-East, so we haven't really talked about that. How do you like that?
I like it. It's fun.
You
It's
wanna go-
fun. So, well, real quick before we
You want to elaborate on it?
well, I was just before we get off of it, I just wanted to explain. So, the last lap of the amateur bike race, dude, the skies let out. I mean, I'm talking about like 2.5, 3 inches of rain per hour is how much it was raining.
Lightning.
Yeah, a bunch of lightning. Tree fell in the woods. There was a river going through the
Was
scoring
anybody there
section.
to hear it?
Do what?
Was anybody there to hear it?
I don't know.
Did it make a
make a
sound?
noise? The world may never know. But yeah, then the lightning rolled in. So we finished the amateur bike race and like,
Y'all
dude,
cut
they
it
were-
early, didn't you?
we
cut it-
one lap early.
Cut it a lap, yeah.
Also, shout out Lucas Towery because one thing that I did not think of is when we made the decision to cut it one lap early, Buren was standing right there and he was like, throw the white flag. And then Lucas was like, I'm not throwing the white flag because the leaders had already gone around and taken the 2-lap card. And so he's like, I'm not throwing the white flag. I was like, why wouldn't you throw the white flag? Like, it's going to be all these people's last lap. He's like, because it's not fair because if the leaders already went through, they're pacing themselves for 2 laps. He's like, I don't want to give these people the unfair advantage knowing they only got 1 lap left to go and they can push it harder. I was like, I would have never thought about that.
That's decision-making of a former racer,
Yeah.
you know.
So he put the 2-lap card down and the white flag down. And he was just waving the yellow flag. He's like, now nobody knows what the hell's going on. I was like, well, I guess that does make sense.
Nice.
So, yeah, we did cut the race 1 lap early. But, dude, by the time it came in, so when you get that dust race, it's that super, like, powdery, silty dust, and then it rains on top of that. It turns into the slickest, nastiest, gnarliest stuff. People were, like, trying to ride straight through the parking lot on flat ground, and, like, their bikes were sliding completely, like, 180.
I saw the sweep rider eat it. Come
Yeah.
up.
Which
Yeah.
one? Eli or
Suzuki.
Garrett?
Suzuki.
Yeah, Garrett. Dude, it got real bad real quick. Literally from the most dust you've ever seen to a river running through the finish line. Like where we were all standing, it is like a couple inches just running water. The podium about got like swept away from the river going through it. It was pretty gnarly. So then it died down a little bit, and I pulled up the radar on my phone, and there was like one little blip on the radar, and then we had an opening. So like it wasn't raining, and everyone was like, "Oh, let's hurry up and get this race going." And I showed him, I was like, "Dude, this is one tiny opening. Like this much rain on the radar had come through. There's this much on the way." I was like, "We're just in between them right now." But yeah, I mean, there was lightning everywhere. That tree fell, and so at the end of the day, we just had to cancel it. But yeah, I've never seen that happen in a Mid-East race, and I think they announced today that it's just done. Like,
Yeah.
they're not gonna.
I heard rumors that there was going to be like some sort of doubleheader, like Saturday 1.5 hour race, Sunday 2 hour race kind of thing.
That was my suggestion. I said either cancel UTVs on Saturday and race just the pro race Saturday night after all the quads, or race the pro race an hour and a half at 11 a.m. Sunday, and then race the amateur bike race at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, whatever it is, and then race a second hour and a half race for the pros that same day.
Why not just do 1 3 hour race? See who the real men are.
I mean, That's what GNCC does.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just thought it'd be cool to like have two separate. That would be cool. Like do hour and a half and then wait a minute and then go back as a completely different race.
I was kind of pumped on the 2-day format because I'm used to full gas, so it's like
No.
get it done.
Well, hell, Full Gas ain't been 2 days in 2 years.
Well, yeah, I ain't done in 3 years, so.
Former champ. I'm still interested to see how that turns out next year with new ownership.
But I didn't know what to do at the Middies race. I was like, do I get ready? I can't. I don't know what's going on. I have no way of talking, so it's like I don't want to miss the race. It's
Yeah.
like, what's going on?
Well, I mean, think about like Nick DeFeo. Like they drive there from Myrtle Beach. And then
Yeah.
they were there Saturday night and stayed the night. So I don't know if that makes it better or worse. Like they didn't just make the day trip to make the day trip back without racing, but they went and stayed overnight and then still didn't get to race
Well,
or
I
make
stayed
money.
overnight, but I was only an hour from the house. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how far it was from Myrtle Beach, but it ain't an hour.
I was looking forward to racing because the track looked sweet. I biked it Saturday. It looked like a fun one. I got lost a bunch of times because I missed all the turnoffs for the bikes, but
Everyone said it was a really good track. As soon as I got there Saturday morning, because I just drive up early Saturday morning to start the quad race, and Bjorn's like, smiles like, you got to see it. He's like, hop on the four-wheeler. And then so I jump on the back of that four-wheeler. He just takes off. Like, the first race is at 7:30. This is at like 7:25 when we leave. And then they're calling on the radio like, Tyler, where are you at? Tyler, you up on the starting line? Tyler, where are you at? And we're like flying through the woods, like down the track. I'm like hanging on for dear life in flip-flops on the back of Bjorn's four-wheeler. He's like, hell, it'd be faster with you on the back. He's like, if you were riding the other one, you get dust out. So I'm riding on the four-wheeler. They're radio for me. He looks back. He's like, answer him. And we're going like 25 miles an hour down like single track on a quad. So I'm like trying to answer the radio. It is funny. But he took me this hill climb and he carved like a straight wall up it. And he just couldn't stop laughing. He's like, it's going to be funny as hell to watch them do that.
I was ready to jump it. I was going to send it.
Dude, did you see the guy that broke his leg on it?
No.
Dude,
I didn't
T's
know
and
someone
P's of
broke-
that guy.
I didn't know
Yeah.
someone broke his leg. When I was biking the track, like I said, I missed it. If it wasn't for David James, he was like, oh, you just missed it. He was hollering at me. So he'd already done it. But anyways, we were riding and we met Buren and he was like, did y'all see all the orange arrows? We were like, yeah, we've been about 8 miles so far. He's like, everyone's lost as hell out here. He's like, everyone's coming up here asking me where the trail's going. He's like, oh, up here it turns. Oh, hell, y'all know where to go. He just took off.
Can I make one request?
Sure,
Or
go ahead.
like, get Buren Hamrick in here, please.
I need to.
That'd be stories for days.
Yeah. The thing is with that is like I don't know if Bjorn would want to.
He would.
I've never asked him,
I would assume he would.
but man, talking to Bjorn is a trip. I love it, dude. When he came out and made the trails over here at Lil Buck at the house, dude, he was telling me all sorts of stories. Like he's one of the most interesting people I've ever talked to.
Yeah.
I was standing at a creek jump one time, and he was standing there, and he stapled up the jump thing, and he was just walking around, pacing back and forth, and he was just like, it's like he was talking to himself. I don't know. He was like, it says jump. It don't say stop and look. It don't say hit the brakes. It says jump.
I can hear him saying that, dude. There's that one video that came, I think it was last year, of someone like crashing right in front of him, like a creek jump, like bottoms out over the bars on the ground, and like Buren's standing right there, and the camera kind of pans to him, and dude, he's just laughing his ass off, like not helping the guy or nothing, just
That you got to get him in here, please.
yeah, dude,
That would be gold.
He's got all sorts of stories. But so two things. One, the leg break. Carson Atima, the 10-4 media guy, he got it on camera, like perfect camera. The dude jumped that wall. Like,
Yeah.
did you pedal out and see it?
Yeah, I saw it.
It's literally a wall. That was a hill climb. It was a wall. He jumped that thing and went flying and hit that tree like 10 feet up, dude. Like just center punched the tree in
Like
midair.
bike and body, or just
Bike
body?
and body. And then he just like falls backwards. But I guess when he fell, he like broke his fib and his wrist or collarbone or something. But Carson was sitting right there and got it all on camera. I don't think he posted like a cell phone video of his camera video, but I don't think the actual videos came out. But it didn't look fun. And then Saturday, we had like 3 transports in the ambulance because
I heard someone got ran over or something.
Yeah.
Crossing the track, they ran in front of a car and got
crap.
hit.
Yeah. it was actually one of the pro riders' dads. So T's and P's out to him too. But he went to cross the track and someone drilled him on the quad. The guy on the quad showed back up the next day with a neck brace on and a black eye. But then I guess the dad got pretty well messed up. But then when he hit, the guy fell off the quad. The quad went to a crowd and I think broke some little girl's kneecap or something.
That's
so
awful.
yeah, it was bad, Dusty.
Mm.
But like a race like that, what do you do?
Yeah.
You don't cross the track, I guess.
You don't cross the track. That's where we start.
That's bad news, man. That stinks.
Yeah. Not what you want to see.
No.
I heard, speaking of injuries, I saw Ron Awad post about his kid,
yeah.
got hurt, finally got his confidence back, and then got hurt again. Like, that sucks.
That was a bummer. Because I kind of posted in that thing that he posted, but his kid, I guess, tipped over and broke his tib fib and got a rod through his leg, just in a grassy field, just tipped over and broke it. And I guess he's been kind of scared and timid to get back on it. Well, then he came out and he raced this weekend. They pedaled the track together and stuff. And then he went out when he was racing, and he was racing Trail Rider, and he came through and scanned in the first lap, and he was in second place. And I don't think he's ridden a whole lot. But then Ron came over to check where'd that come from?
This chair.
Oh, okay.
It's
I didn't know if that was on the floor.
You got shards of just wood in your floor.
Well, I'm walking around barefoot. I just stepped on glass over there a minute ago.
You should have human feet,
Not
bare feet.
But I got bare arms right here. Anyway, so they were going out racing. He came over to check the score, and I knew that's what he was doing. So I yelled at him. I was like, "Oh, he's in second." And you could just tell Ron lit up. He's like, "Really?" And he's taking pictures of the board and stuff. So as soon as it came through on the radio, they said his number and then said who it was. And does anyone know where Ron Awad's parked? I was like, "Oh no." So yeah, what a bummer for that, because he ended up breaking his collarbone, and that's not a good way to return to racing. So I hope that he can get through that, heal up pretty quick, and then want to come back. Because yeah, that's a bummer. That's not what you want. That's for sure.
I know Ron seemed bummed about it.
I mean, rightfully so. Especially in that post, he said that his son's mom was mad at him, and he said pretty much everyone was mad at him. But I mean, that's part of the sport. It's obviously not his fault, and it's not the kid's fault either. It's just it happens. Especially when it's dusty like that. I guess he hit a stick that he didn't see through the dust. So
the first race my mom ever went to, I was in second, landed off a double, and the kids in front of me's bike just cut off, and I just ran right in the back of him and started flipping, and I got knocked out right in front of my mom. It was right where she was standing. So she never came back.
I can imagine why. The first race my dad ever went to was at Harris Bridge when I was battling that Wade Furness kid for a championship, and we went through this super high speed section. It's a section where you come out and there's a couple new trees, but then it's hard to explain. But we came up and there was 5 of us in a pack going through there, but me and him were battling. It was the last lap, and we were battling for the win. And so I mean, it was one of those sections where you're just holding it wide open through a field section, couldn't see anything. And I hit a bump and swapped out and high sided and fell backwards on my head and knocked myself out. Finished the race, didn't remember any part of the race. I got there sitting there thinking about it. I was like, man, I don't remember riding the rest of the track. I don't remember seeing anybody. But that was the first race my dad ever went to. I think I told him the same story 8 times afterwards. I didn't
That's
remember
usually
that
what
either.
happens when you have a concussion.
First ride my new shoey too.
Mm.
And that's still the shoey I wear. And that was
That's
5 years
not
ago.
good.
That's not smart.
No, it's safe now because the visor bolts came out. So then I had to burn the foam to be able to safety wire it in. So now it's missing all the foam right there too. So it's safe.
Yeah, I'm sure it would pass.
But
Snail.
back to your other question. Announcing Mid-East has been fun, man. Last year I kind of got a fill-in role. Their announcer couldn't make it one weekend, so they called me. And I went and did it. It was my first live 10 seconds call, not in my underwear walking around my house screaming 10 seconds.
I've seen you practice.
Just see if I could do it. You know what I mean?
You're the closest to Rodney Tomlin I've ever heard.
Really?
Yes, you are.
That's big praise.
I think you got a good call.
I've been racking my brain to try to come up with something different. But like, what could you possibly say? Is like the 10 seconds thing is iconic.
Do 11 seconds.
Yeah, or like 8.5. I think is what it is a lot of times.
Well, what is North Carolina does? Do they do?
No,
do
he
they
just
go down
like
to 5?
15 seconds. 10 seconds.
I have heard a
What?
lot of 10 seconds calls.
What would you?
I haven't
like,
heard a lot of good 10-second calls.
What is there you would change? Like
I don't know, just something different, man. Like,
Rodney's it's iconic.
I know, but it's Rodney's. Well, actually, no, it was the guy before Rodney's. Rodney's told that story before. The other guy did it, and then they told Rodney he had to do it, and Rodney fought it. He's like, I'm not doing that. He's like, that sounds silly. I'm not doing that. And then, no, you have to do it. And then he ended up doing it, and now it became Rodney's thing. But I think the guy before him is who started it. But, like, Michael Buffer has the Let's Get Ready to Rumble. Bruce Buffer has the It's Time. Like, all those announcers have their own little catchphrases.
Yeah.
So, like, I've been trying to think of something that could compete with 10 seconds, but not be 10 seconds, be my own thing. I don't know.
I got you. What happened to Rodney? What's he up to now? Do you know?
He took a job working for a radio station. So he's like
Wow.
an MC, DJ, whatever you call it, for a radio station in Ohio. Porterhouse.
Really?
That's
Does
his
he
name.
not do the GNCC anymore? Really? I didn't
Where
know
have
that.
you been?
I ain't
We're
been
out
paying
of touch,
attention. I
man.
don't know.
Yeah, he retired last year.
I didn't know that.
I thought it was kind of a big deal, but like, I watched the banquet, and if I'm wrong about this, I sincerely apologize. But I watched a lot of the
I
banquet.
swear
and
I
don't-
raced Camp Coker, and I swear I thought I heard him.
No, he was at Penton. Penton, he
Mhm.
did the first 10-second call because it's like 10 minutes from his house.
Hmm.
Um,
I don't know where I was.
but like there was never, dude. He'd been there for like 30 years almost.
Yeah.
Like I expected like a send off, like a celebration. Like that's a lot of your life.
Yeah.
Them
The voice
standing
of
in.
GNCC.
Yeah,
They
standing
better
in
have Ricky
hayfields.
Towery like a pension plan or something.
Yeah.
That's another
Him
guest
and
you need in
Mid-East.
here. You need to get the two Towery boys and Ricky. That would be gold.
I will say, so that has been like hands down one of the coolest parts about working or announcing for Mideast this year. Is I'm standing there with Ricky Towery and Lucas Towery the whole time, and like I would always say hey to Ricky and stuff at the races like GNCCs, but I don't think he like knew me. But now him and I, like, because him and I work together on everything, like, because he does the riders meeting at Mideast and does the prayer, and me and him hand the microphone back and forth a lot. But then we're all standing at scoring, and it's Charlie Blanton, who's Bjorn's son-in-law, and then Lucas flagging, and then Ricky like wiping helmets and stuff, and like getting to know them better. Oh, dude, it's been so funny. But yeah, Ricky, it's so funny to listen to him talk and like listen to Lucas like give him hell and stuff. I love it. If I had Ricky in here, I would have to have Lucas and Robbie or whoever in
Yeah.
here to get him fired up because they can get him going, dude. It's funny.
You got to do it.
Speaking of Ricky, happy anniversary to him and his wife.
Oh yeah, happy anniversary, Ricky and Lynn. 40 years today.
I hope me and my wife make it 40 years.
I don't think it's going to happen. I'm just kidding.
I don't think I've ever tolerated 140 months.
Nah, he hadn't. No, 4 years. That's besides the point. That's onward.
So today on OTP relationships,
You got the wrong guest here.
no, but yeah, it would be cool to get them on. But
That please do for the fans. Like that would be them, and then Bjorn. That would be gold.
think about how much racing Ricky Towery has seen and Bjorn Hamrick. Because Bjorn used to be the trail boss for GNCC. Like, he was the one laying out all the GNCC tracks.
I heard Ricky was fast.
I heard that, too.
I heard Bjorn was fast back in the day.
Yeah.
He was an A rider.
Someone was just talking to me about that. Was that
Might
you?
have been me.
I think when you were in here the other night when we were
Yeah.
making T-shirts.
Yeah.
Because I was about to say, that just came up, like, not long ago.
Yeah.
But Ricky, I heard Ricky yesterday. He was like, "Oh, I know I'm hard to put up with. 40 years, it's a long time." It's like, I don't know. How could he be hard to put up with? I guess dragging her to the race every weekend. I don't know.
She works at all of
Yeah,
them,
she
too.
works too.
That's a commitment for sure.
Yeah.
And he had a full-time job at one time, didn't he? And
He still does, yeah.
That's wild.
But so that's what I was about to say is like he's in insurance. I don't know if he's an adjuster or salesman. I don't know what, but he's been in insurance, and he retires this year. And so I know that Bjorn was trying to get him on like full time, He's like 60-something years old, and I hadn't talked to him about it in a while, like since the beginning of the season. I mentioned to him this year, I was like, so man, when you retire, you gonna come out here full time or what? He's like, oh, I don't know. He's like, I was actually just talking about that. He's like, if I'm gonna keep working, I'm just gonna stay where I'm at. I know that. I like it. I'm in the AC. So I don't know.
Now he's in the mud.
Yeah. I've seen him get fired up a couple times. We're at one of the races, and him and Byron will get chirping back and forth at each other about how long races should be. Byron will be like, cut it early. And Ricky's like, I got to give him their time. But then one time they got into a little tiff. And Byron's like, Ricky's like, one thing about me, I don't need to be standing here. I can pay my bills. I don't need to be here. I was like, dang. I've never seen him get fired up like that.
That's funny.
But no, Lucas will get him going, dude. Lucas and him will start chirping back and forth at each other. It's funny. But yeah, the Mid-East has been cool. Even like Sheila and like all the ladies in sign up and all the track crew and stuff. It's just it's a family, and so it's cool to be a part of it. Especially because that's how I started racing. Like my first ever race was Big Buck GNCC, and then my second ever race was Falcon Farms Mid-East back in the day, and Rob Mitchell was there filming.
My dad said he was at the first ever Mid-East.
Really?
I think he said it was at Byron's house.
Dang. In Shelby?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they've grown since then. But yeah, I remember the very first race I ever raced, I was up at Carolina Cycle Service, Carlo's shop, and that's when TJ Snow still worked there. And he was like explaining to me how the starts and stuff work, 'cause I had no idea. And he's like, dude, it's going to be the funniest thing ever. He's like, it'll trip you out. He's like, I'll be sitting there like mid-sentence, and all of a sudden just 10 seconds. And so like when I got there like that, I remember it had to have been Terry at the time. I got a picture on my wall at my house of me standing on the podium with Terry holding a microphone at a Mid-East race. My first ever win, it was at Outback. And but yeah, just ever since I've been riding dirt bikes, I raced every single one of those races, and now to like be announcing them and like be the guy there, it's cool. Like the full gas thing was really cool, but it's completely different.
Yeah.
I'm basically just staging people.
Yeah.
But then yeah, to like be the guy, like the announcer, not the fill-in announcer, but like the announcer for Mid-East, it's been really cool.
Awesome. That's like right down your alley too.
That being said, if I can find a way to make enough money to not be announcing races every weekend,
You should start a series. Yeah.
wouldn't that be a good idea?
All right. Tell me about this bike GP. Because I was training. I was going to make a comeback.
So
man.
Erzberg
Oh.
was going on.
Onward.
I have been getting a lot of messages about the bike GP.
Well, let it out, man.
And unfortunately, I don't have any answers. I wish that I had an answer. I don't have an answer.
Well, isn't the
And
dates for
The
next
first
weekend?
round's like next weekend, right?
I'm pretty sure I have publicly said that one's not happening. So
I didn't get the memo.
we
Yeah.
went from the 5 races to
I had
3
my-
races.
I was packing my hauler, getting it ready, like getting my toolboxes made.
We can set it up at Lil Buck.
Graphics was going on.
We went from 5 races down to 3 races, just to try to get Triple Crown in, and then we went from 3 races down to 1 race on Labor Day weekend.
I missed all these PRs.
I didn't get them either.
Well, if you listen on the Pipe podcast, I haven't posted anything on it. I posted like 2 things on that Bike GP page, and that's it. So
The schedule's still up, or the dates, and literally next weekend is one.
I know
So should I be ready?
Get ready.
it was supposed to be the one Mid-East I was supposed to miss, and then it was going to be July 16th, and then it was going to be August 12th.
All the dates were like on Mother's Day, Father's Day, Easter.
It was like,
It was
Holiday
the
series.
I don't
it was
care
the-
about your family.
It was the
series.
F Your Family series.
The holiday series. There's only so many weekends in a
Oh,
year.
I know.
When there's 84 Mid-East
You're right.
per year.
Well, there's a million series in the area.
Yeah.
So,
That's the other thing, too, is like, dude, everywhere you throw a rock, you hit another race series
Mhm.
around here.
yeah.
And they're all acronyms. I can't keep them straight, dude. There's Mid-East, NCHSA, Citra, SORX, VXCS, VCHHS or something. Maybe I threw in an extra letter. AWorks, IXCR, J-Day,
GNCC.
GNCC, NEPG.
Yeah. WWE.
FTR, Winoa, Fast Tracks. What other ones?
Bite.
Carolina XC,
Yeah.
Hard Enduro.
Bite GP, U.S. Hard Enduro East, U.S. Hard Enduro West.
So
There's so many series. But there is none doing what I was going to do at scale. And I really, truly, firmly believe that this can revolutionize the sport. I think it can change the sport. I think it can be a very big thing. And, like, if I did it the way that I have planned and, like, all the notes I have, I know that I could do it. The problem is the original investor, there's been a couple investors, and some of them worked out. Some of them are still on the table. But at the end of the day, like I said, I know that I can grow this thing, and I don't know if I'd want to have a partner in it necessarily. I don't know. Because I want to go against the grain. I want to do something different. I want to be different. I don't want to be the next GNCC. Every series, pretty much that I just mentioned, wants to be GNCC. That's what everyone's chasing. And I think that model can be improved upon. And so part of this whole thing is that I don't want to unroll a series and have it be just some turn track in the woods with a couple people hanging out. Like, I want to be a premier series out of the gate. I want to do it how I want it to be and how it needs to be out of the gate. I don't want to, like, start small and build into it. I want it to be the Bite GP series from the beginning. And so there still is that date on Labor Day. The place that it's supposed to be held, very big, very prestigious, very big name place.
can you say where it is?
No.
Okay.
Not on here. I think a lot, like, you know.
I don't think I do.
Oh. Well, I've
Tell
talked to people about it in person. It is a very prestigious place. It is a very well-known place. It is a very good that they've never had a race. They've been around for 13 years. They've never had a race.
I know exactly where it's at now.
And they told me that my series could be the very first race there ever. And that's a big deal, especially with this place. It's a very big deal. And so the stage is set, and realistically, like, because everything kept kind of changing and going later into the year, like, I think they kind of got a little bit apprehensive about it. And then I asked him straight up, and then said he'd get back to me. And then I've asked again, it kind of went by the wayside. So at the time right now, I don't know if it's still on. But if it is still on, it's going to be a good one, especially with it being kind of near Charlotte the weekend before the SMX race at ZMAX Dragway. It's the weekend before that, and there's nothing else going on. It's a holiday weekend. It could be a blowout. So,
What holiday?
Labor Day. September 2nd. So if
Yeah,
we can
no
put
one
it
really
together and make it
celebrates
happen.
that.
Do up?
No one really celebrates Labor Day.
Yeah, it's just a day of work.
Yeah, it's a day off work for me.
So if it doesn't happen this year or whatever, if it falls through, are you going to go for it next year, or what's your plan on that?
I don't know.
I got you.
I really got to think about it. Because the deal that I was offering for an investor was selling myself short and giving somebody a hell of a deal. And so it was giving away a bunch of the business for not a lot of the money. And I realistically, if this thing is done right, I can see it being big in not that long of an amount of time. So I don't know if I'm willing to give away that big of a chunk of it, or just kind of risk it myself and try to make it happen. But that was the biggest thing, is like going into this year, I couldn't really get sponsors because it all came together so late. But
Yeah.
I mean, right now, summertime, we're about to be in the midst of negotiating for next year. And so I'll probably try to give it a good run at it, because if I could just get a little bit of sponsor help, or like a little bit, like an investor that didn't want equity in the company, where I could give them a return on their investment without necessarily giving them equity in the company, that would be an ideal situation. And with a little bit of help, I can do it. But I also think that making that event happen at that place this year would be huge, and it would be a huge selling point to build it into next year to be a full series.
I got a question.
So
When does Up to Something season start, and when does it end?
It never ends, dude. It never ends.
we're always up to something. I'm still up to something.
Oh, shit.
Not with that, like a completely separate thing.
Oh, onward.
Another up to something season is that someone wanted to license the podcast and put it on their network. OTP, like they
Steve?
wanted to host it.
Steve,
I mean,
Mathis.
Can't. I'm not gonna get into the weeds of it, but somebody did want to put this.
Was it Weege?
Somebody did want to put this podcast on their media platform because I mean, I kind of downplay it and I'm like tough to give myself credit. This is the largest media outlet in off-road. From the podcast to our social media numbers to YouTube numbers, there's no one bigger. And so that's the other thing too. It's like, man, if the money doesn't make sense, why would I do it? And that's what it came like. Right now I'm doing my own thing and I didn't feel like there was too much to gain by having this podcast hosted somewhere else. And so it's something I really considered, but then it's something that I ended up not doing.
Well, if you're not going to do it, can you say who it was?
No. There was actually a couple different options. So maybe like ESPN wants to, but I don't think
I
that's
hear
gonna
you. Pat McAfee.
happen. Yeah, he just signed with ESPN.
All right, Erzberg, man. Erzberg.
Yeah, so hopefully some of that made sense. Probably didn't make any sense, but
No, you're good.
that's what I got.
I'm lost.
He's up to something, man.
You saw the arrows up there. Just follow the arrows. So Erzberg, I guess we'll get right into the win. Manny Lettenbichler.
Never heard of him.
Do what?
Never heard of him.
You've never heard of Manny Lettenbichler?
Nope.
Bro,
Really?
Have you?
you've never heard of Manny Lettenbichler?
No.
So this is the second year in a row winning Erzberg. KTM factory guy. He
Shows you
wins
how much I
like
pay attention.
a lot of stuff. He was in the Dominican when we were down there for Terra Inferno, the Travis Pastrana and Ryan Sipes thing or whatever. He's different, dude. That dude is different. Like, he can ride anything. He won. Maybe he didn't win TKO last year. Who won TKO last year? Tristan Hart? Anyway, so what I was getting at is hard enduro. I would have never guessed it. It is so much bigger than GNCC and everything else. Like, I guess we're just so wrapped up in this world that, like, I think GNCC is, like, the top of the top. Dude.
It is in America.
Yeah.
East Coast America, probably.
I
I
guess
don't think anyone on the West Coast cares about it.
they do, but it's just still the premier series. Especially like you think about ISDE representation. Most of them are like East Coast guys. But I think everyone knows that GNCC is big, and I think there's more riders making a living on the East Coast racing dirt bikes than there are on the West Coast.
In off-road.
Yeah, in off-road. But, dude, I didn't realize the hard enduro, because I've been to Battle of the Goats a few times, and, like, it was still big and, like, bigger than I thought. But then I went to TKO last year. Bro, everywhere you went, you heard a different language. Like, people travel around the world to go to these things. Especially, like, Erzberg. Can you imagine how many people were at Erzberg?
It's like
then-
900-something riders, right? Or more.
I thought it was way more.
There's
than
probably more that try to qualify.
Yeah. I
But-
think they might only take 900. I don't know.
Like, think of it just from a simple standpoint. Stu Baylor has the biggest social media following. Maybe Caleb does, but I'm pretty sure Stu does. But they're like right around 100,000. Like, Stu just hit 100,000 this year, I'm pretty sure. Like, followers on Instagram. And then, like, Manny Lettenbichler. Well, my phone's a camera right now. But the hard enduro guys, like, dude, they got 350,000, 400,000, 500,000 followers. Like, think about Graham Jarvis and everything that he's done. And I guess it's more on a global scale. It's probably like the football versus soccer thing. Like,
Yeah.
we think there's nothing bigger than the NFL.
Yeah.
Meanwhile-
that's a perfect analogy.
They're
Yeah.
world travelers, and Stu's down there in the armpit of South Carolina, you know.
Yeah.
So, how many different languages did you hear whenever you went to the Tennessee thing that was in Nashville?
Dude, there's people from Italy. There's people from, like, Spain. There's people. The Beta factory rider was a dude from Mexico. Obviously, people from, like, the UK. But, yeah, everywhere you went, like, dude, there was Brazilians, like, speaking Portuguese. I mean, there's a French. So, I mean, that's already, 5 languages?
Yeah.
It was insane. But, like, then, like, people literally came from Europe and all over the world, South America, to come up to that race. And it was insane. And, like, that video I posted, that was one of the first big race videos I posted was TKO. just like by the sheer amount of people that watched it. But it's crazy to think like how big those guys are, from their social media followings to like people recognizing them and all that. That's why I'm surprised you don't know Manny Lettenbichler. He's like the guy. Although Tristan Hart is becoming the guy. Tristan Hart is a bad dude. He was supposed to be on the show 2 weeks ago, but he was going to Austria, and I couldn't figure out how to work WhatsApp, so he wasn't on the show. But Tristan Hart's from Canada. He was down in the Dominican as well. It's usually like in the States, it's Tristan Hart and Cody Webb. Like some other people get in the mix sometimes, but it's usually them two battling for each other. But then Lettenbichler is legit. But Tristan Hart led, from what I understand, most of the race at Erzberg, or a lot of the race. And then from what he said, burned himself out at Carl's dinner and kind of ran out of energy. I think that's what ended up making the difference for the rest of the race. But Manny Lettenbichler took the win. Billy Bolt ended up in second. Billy Bolt is insane. He's really good too. He was the one doubling those giant logs and Jersey Bears and stuff at the TKO Prologue a couple years ago. Nuts. And then Tristan Hart ended up in third. Johnny Walker on that old factory beta machine, premium quality rideability, fourth place. Yeah, and he was only 2 minutes back in the fourth place spot. The other thing I have here, Tristan Hart led a lot of the race, ran out of energy. Will Reardon, one of the local adopted Aussies up at the Oz Ranch, not too far from here. He qualified second in the prologue. He was second fastest, which I think is pretty legit. Like, that was cool. And then I was trying to turn on some of the race while I was at Mid-East, and I guess he actually led some of Erzberg, which I think is super sick too. Graham Jarvis, he's won it 5 times. He just got 6th place on the day. Cody Webb was the only American rider that finished all the checks of the race. Graham Jarvis, 48 years old.
That's wild. I didn't realize he was that old.
48.
Did you know he had a book? I got his book.
A book?
He's got a book.
What's it about?
Graham Jarvis.
Autobiography.
Yeah.
Is it tips and tricks, or is it an autobiography?
No, it's a biography. It's pretty good if you want to read it.
Biography or autobiography?
I think he had a ghostwriter. Does anybody write their own books anymore?
Maybe.
I think it's an autobiography, yes.
Okay. But it's like from his perspective?
Yeah.
That actually would be really
Read it.
interesting.
It's actually pretty good.
Here's the thing. I'm kind of stupid.
Yeah, I know.
I can't read.
You can read.
Okay, I feel like I'm not stupid, but I
Is it
can't
on
read, dude.
audiobooks?
I don't think it's on audio, but I don't think it's got Audible or anything.
I remember, so like when I first got into riding dirt bikes, Graham Jarvis was probably my number one YouTube search.
Mm-hmm.
Like watching him ride wheelies on everything and like riding skate parks, and it was nuts.
He's like Danny McCaskill on a mountain bike. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's just
But
got all
48
these,
years old.
well, yeah. I mean, but he's just got some wild videos.
Yeah.
Just neat stuff.
He reposted my video of TKO last year. He's going up that hill climb and he took a tumble, and the bike went tumbling down after him.
He said that in the book.
I figured he did. He wrote hashtag not Jarvis style. But he asked my permission before he posted it. And that's the way that you need to do things, people. Speaking of which, I didn't know if I should bring this up or not.
Bring it up. Hell.
It's not even that big of a deal. I just want to apologize to Mason Rader. I manage several riders' social media pages, so like I post stuff for them to help grow their social media following. And some of those riders have contracts that Mason Rader provides film for. So like in my phone, I have a lot of footage that he has used that's in my phone because I've posted it for other people. And I made like a little video before the GNCC last weekend, and the opening clip was one of Mason's. I didn't realize it because like I knew it looked familiar because I knew I had posted it before, and it was in my phone, so I just assumed it was mine. And I put it in the thing, and he messaged me pretty quickly afterwards. I immediately deleted it and apologized. I felt so bad because I hate when people steal my stuff.
That's what I was going to say. Didn't you go on a big rant about somebody taking your stuff?
Yes, that was a different scenario,
I got you.
but yes.
I got you.
That guy took 11 of my videos and posted them as his own without my permission and made money off of them. This was a true and honest
Mason's going
mishap.
to whoop that butt, man. You better watch out.
I like Mason, dude.
That's
That's
gonna be
why.
another Joey Plowler.
That's why.
Oh, dude.
Oh, dude. Goober Gazer is training at his gym.
Joey's gym?
Yeah.
Dang, now Goober Gauge is going to come whoop off on you.
Yeah, Joey Plyler. His dad is John Plyler. He's like a third-degree black belt under Hoist Gracie. He owns a Hoist Gracie gym in Denver, and Craig signed up at it last week.
No, I did watch that fight. You had him beat for a while.
Made me mad.
Were we watching the same fight?
Yeah, I mean,
Okay.
we were on our way back from. Went to the beach. We pulled the car over to watch that.
I was building my house, and I stopped doing
Hey,
drywall
he had the
to
hammer.
watch.
Put the hammer down.
My grandpa was like, put that phone away. We got work to do.
Watching Tyler get his ass whipped. Hold on.
I need to get back in. No, dude, that's what pissed me off. I controlled that fight the whole time,
What?
but then
Like the entrance?
the rules
Nah.
said that if nobody got a submission within time, whoever had the dominant position at the end when time ran out won. So that
Uh-oh.
kid did nothing the entire time as Reba enters the frame.
Get
Hey, Reba.
out of here.
And then he just got on me like he was a little backpack and was on my back for 2 minutes and couldn't even get a choke in or anything. So he technically won because he had the
Right,
advantage.
Right. You had the first
we
takedown,
know.
didn't you?
We know. Yeah,
I,
of course.
That I remember like the week before that, you were like, dude, they got me up against a freaking stud. And then you were like out of the game for a while, and
Yeah,
you're
that was off
10
the
years,
couch.
You were 10 years older than him, and but no, I thought you held your own pretty well
And heavier.
Yeah,
And his dad's a third-degree black belt that owns his own gym.
but that guy is stout though. Like,
He
what
w-
is he still doing it?
Yeah.
Like,
He's like an instructor at that gym.
really
He's like supposed to be like the next big thing, like for jiu-jitsu,
right.
like in the area. And then that's who they gave me. Is like, I told y'all I haven't trained in like 4 years, right?
I was impressed. You held your
I
own
think
for
they
sure.
just wanted it to be a
squash.
squash.
I want a rematch. He's been training nonstop since then. I haven't trained since then still.
You wasn't training before that.
I was heavier than him, but he was like more jacked than I thought he'd be.
He was a high school kid still.
I think he might have been, honestly.
He was
Or he like just graduated.
man, he was stout.
He was good. He was, cause I had to cut weight for that one, and then I was still like 5, 6, 7 pounds over.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and so the whole thing was for cancer, so you had to raise money for cancer awareness, and I was sitting there and I was like, I had all that extra weight to lose. I had to lose. I think it was like 7 pounds the day of, or like the night before, and I messaged him. And I was like, "Hey man, you're $100 away from hitting 1,000, and you got like a bunch of free stuff if you got $1,000." I was like, "If I donate $1,000 to your thing, can we up the weight limit 10 pounds?" And he's like, "Yeah, that's fine." So I sent him $100 to his fundraiser
Wait, you
for
said
cancer.
1,000.
Do what?
Was it 1,000?
He was at 900, I
Oh.
think. He was at like 920, and I gave him $100, so it put him over 1,000. So he got all the stuff for his fundraiser, and then I got to eat dinner. So fair trade.
No, I thought you held your own pretty well. I was impressed, really.
Thanks, man.
But that's neither here nor there.
My plan when I quit my job was to make another run at MMA, but then I snapped my leg in half.
You could start a
Did
gym. You could start a gym in here.
It's the first I've heard of it.
Thought about it, considered it. There's mat area right there. We're gonna
That's
Reba,
the putting area.
What do you want, Reba?
yeah. Right now it's a putting green, but it could very well be a mat.
What
If
is your-
anybody's interested in
what's your
Fight
dog
Club
want?
Jiu
This
Jitsu,
ma-
She's like
this
pawing
mangy-
at me.
This mangy dog is ruining my show.
hey, she's precious.
Reba's getting on my nerves too.
She's hyperallergenic. She can't have mange. Reba.
Here's your chance, Fancy. Just get down.
Now you're in both cameras. Just get down. So anyway, I think that's it for the racing coverage. But 48 years old, that's one thing that I want to talk about because, like, you ready to go?
Yeah. I'm
We can
good.
wrap it up.
No, I'm just like,
I forget
people
that
probably
have
forgot
jobs
about
and
Graham
stuff.
Jarvis by now.
Do what?
I was just thinking people probably forgot we were talking about Graham Jarvis, and then
Dram.
you just
Well,
bust into 48 years old.
I know it's
But
almost
continue.
11 o'clock at night, and you guys probably want to get out of here at some point. So
Well, neither of
I'm
y'all
good.
work. I'm the only one with a
I
job.
do have a job. I'm good.
you haven't started it yet.
Yes, I did.
What, your side hustle?
I'm still doing furniture, but yeah, I started on the 26th.
Yeah. So that's when
But
my
I
car
still
gets looked
have
at.
to work. Oh, you're. Oh. Your
So
car.
what do you got? You got to do furniture tomorrow?
Yeah.
What time?
Well, whenever I want to. But
Dude, you sound like you got the same balls as I do.
balls.
Boss.
Motorcycles. Motorcycles.
But
48
like
years old.
Josh Strang, I love Josh Strang. He's one of my good friends.
I do have. If you ever get him in here, get him to talk about that one year he went and ran West Coast. He ran Works for like 2011 or 2012
Yeah.
on I think RPM, KTM or something.
Wasn't it still on Suzuki?
It
I think
have
he was
been.
on Suzuki.
It may have been. I thought it was. It was right after he left Suzuki. I thought. Regardless, get him to talk about that one year because
Yeah.
I've always been kind of curious about that because I remember whenever he left.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah.
No, that would be cool. He was supposed to be. I don't even know if I revealed it on the thing, but he was the original first guest.
There's always supposed to be these like really good guests
I
that,
know!
that are the professionals of the sport, but
And
it's
then-
always us. Like or
Goober Gazer.
like people want to hear like the professionals. I would assume
I have a very
Not
opinion on
fairgrounds
that.
you
champions.
have a. What's your varied opinion on it?
Don't let me forget about the Josh Strang thing.
Just go to that. Hell,
No, so when I've explained this several times. When we started this thing.
obviously Tyler's podcast OTP.
On Tangents podcast.
What did you say?
On Tangents podcast.
That's what it should be called right there. I always end up on a tangent. But when you and I, okay, all right. That's it, everybody.
I'm kidding.
No.
Tell me about breaking your leg.
uh,
It's the first I've heard of it.
one question at a time.
Oh, sorry.
What were we just talking about?
String.
When y'all started the podcast.
No, string. Talk about string.
Yeah, but why were we talking about when we started? Oh. So when we started the podcast, we came out swinging, dude. We had John Basher on. I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
He was the head of North American Suzuki marketing at the time.
Just left MXA and was the editor for Motocross Action for 15 years.
Yeah.
X Games.
Didn't he take the picture of that backflip or something?
No, he judged it and said it
Judged
wasn't
it.
a perfect 100.
Yeah, he was the one that didn't
He
give
was
it
the
10.
only one that said it wasn't a 10.
We can put that in there.
Look at it's adult with toys. What the heck? Put
So
your
this
toys
was
up.
this was courtesy of Devin. We got to build an actual set so we can display these things. But Devin did drop off a few goodies. One of them is this Travis Pastrana double backflip. John Basher was the only judge in the 2006 X Games that did not give Travis Pastrana a perfect 10 for the very first ever double backflip. And Devin, very rightfully so, called him out on the podcast.
Well, I mean, everybody remembers where they were when they found. You know,
Oh,
I
I
remember
I
that.
was. my heart was pumping watching that.
I think
before
I was
he
at the
went.
beach in the camper.
I was in my parents' living room. They were asleep. And so I was like, I was running, jumping
Yeah.
on the couches.
Yeah.
But I was like,
It's crazy how
like I couldn't say anything.
another tangent. It's crazy how back then, like, everything was secret, everything was hidden, and it would just bust out all at once. And
Yeah.
now it's like every day something. So nothing's exciting anymore. It seems
Yep.
like
Now they do it for the gram, not the glory.
Yeah, yeah. But so I remember sitting there. It was me and my dad, and like he did it. It was insane. Everybody went crazy, and then the scores came up. There was one person that gave it like a 99. And that asshole was sitting right across from me in my house a couple years later. And dude, that's
And that's pretty much how you said it to him.
kinda. I mean, but regardless, like, anyways. But that's wild. But I still think that was a terrible score.
But dude, that was like our second or third show, and that's who our guest was.
And then we had Glenn and Ken.
Yep, the owners and founders of not only Cycra, but they're the reasons that KTM is orange.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They've made like all sorts of 3M products. Like they've invented so
Or
many
Rubbermaid.
yeah,
and- yeah.
like products that you use every day. These dudes made them.
So how did this show go from guests like that to?
Oh, good question. But no, then we went to JGR and interviewed Kyle Peters at JGR.
Yeah,
We had Bollinger down at your house.
yeah, and William Hall.
Yep, Vance Earl and Evan Earl.
That was our first guest, I believe. That was our very first. That was our pilot show.
Was it him or was it TJ?
Ooh, that's.
I know
really bad.
Vance and
I
Evan were
forget.
one of the first.
Yeah,
I think that might have been the
TJ
first
was-
one we posted. Was Vance
might
and Evan.
be, but yeah, I forgot about the TJ show. My God, how's he doing? Do you talk to him much?
Yeah. Oh, I saw Dustin Simpson got married a few weeks ago, and I hung out with TJ a good bit there. That's the first time I've seen him in a while.
TJ, I love TJ. What
Yeah.
a great dude.
Yep, he's cool. Him and Dustin, like the two most like talented people I've ever seen on a dirt bike.
And the nicest
Absolutely.
people too.
Mm.
Never met a stranger,
Yeah.
but insanely fast. And right off the couch.
I wish I had
insanely
half
fast.
of Dustin's personality.
Yeah. Dustin won't come on the show. He would be perfect for the show.
Why won't he do it?
I
What'd you
don't know.
do?
He just he listens to all the shows. He's hearing me say this right now. But he won't come on the show. He's scared of it.
so
I
you
guess.
Dustin.
So you did go live.
Do what?
You did go live.
Well, I meant by the time he's hearing this,
Oh, okay.
like he just heard me say that. And now he's in his work truck, probably about to call me and yell at me for saying that he's scared to come on the show. That's happening right now, but in the future.
I will say, me and him rode mountain bikes one time, and I busted him down a hill at URE, and I was pretty pumped with myself.
Really?
Yeah, and
I've heard he's fast.
I had a
on that, like-
halfway flat tire, like it was leaking as we were going down.
Oh. Do
It's
it
like-
on a dirt bike.
He would tell you the same.
It's like Tom Brady. That's Deflategate. You
I was
cheated.
going,
You had more traction. Doesn't count.
probably. I mean, it was probably some fluke. He was probably holding up something, just trying to make me feel better about myself. I don't know, but
Dustin,
He was
come on the show, please.
He was probably texting somebody while he was
probably.
running down.
He was doing something back
Dustin
there.
would be a perfect person to have on the show,
Oh,
though,
yeah.
dude. I couldn't imagine what he would get into.
He was probably like wrestling a bear or something. I don't know.
Sorry, I'd stop for a minute. I've seen him walk away from 2 pretty much factory rides. Not like actually factory, but like people paying for all of his stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen him give 2 bikes back just because he didn't want to. He's unique.
He just, if he's not having fun, he don't want to do it.
Yeah. Can't hate a man for that. But back to the original thing. And then once we started doing the weekly shows and like getting into the phone calls, it was immediately like race winners, champions, like everyone, like the biggest names. And I felt like at that time you had to have I had to have pro riders on the show because no one knew what OTP was. And so it's like, all right, we got to use the pro riders' followings to get a following for OTP. And that's really like part of what helped me build the thing up. But now OTP has gotten so big that we have a following. And so now I want to get into more of the amateurs, more of the crew guys, more of the like just the regular people because a lot of times they have a way cooler story.
Don't look at me.
What?
Well, get them on, not us.
Well, thank y'all for coming.
Yeah,
This has been
see?
a really fun one.
No, I like it.
But yeah. So now, I've been so dang busy making T-shirts. I haven't had anybody on since like round 3 of GNCC. So
I saw you had this up for sale. Has anyone inquired?
I had a couple people. No one's serious.
Dude,
Now I kind of figured it out though. I might keep.
Advertise on the show. Like, be your own sponsor. Like, you don't even shout yourself out for anything for
Do you-
the shirts.
Do you remember like a little bit ago when I did a full blown advertisement for it on this show?
You did? Was that
Like
right
the one
here?
that you're on.
I was right across from you when you
I think
did
you
it?
were sitting right there.
I was not paying attention.
You had those headphones on
Yeah.
that has like my voice going through it.
I was probably falling to this chair.
I talked about this shirt that I made and that shirt you're wearing that I made.
Okay, my bad. What's the name of the show? The shirt company again?
OTP screen printing. Very original.
I like it. What's it stand for?
Only T-shirt perfection.
I like it.
No, but a bigger. So I started advertising it first, and then I found out real quick that I don't know how to make T-shirts. So then I kind of backed it off a little bit because I had a little bit more than I could handle. But now I got it down pat, dude. I made 216 shirts in the last like couple days. So now I got it figured out. But I still can't do another thing. Ashley Brewer from Battery Park. He wants me to make their shirts. Really appreciate it. Can't explain enough how much I appreciate it. Theirs is like 5 different screens. Every color is a different screen, and you have to have them lined up perfectly or the whole shirt's ruined. I'm terrified to do their shirts. So I need to get a little bit more confidence to do their shirts. But right now, 1 color, 2 color, bud, I got you.
Perfection is in the name.
I know.
Why'd you do those like Pride Month shirts? That's the only ones I don't like.
Why don't you like them? That's pretty rude. They're not Pride. It's Rastafarian. I thought posting them with reggae music would get the point across.
Oh.
Nobody understood it.
Probably just didn't have the volume up.
That is not my culture.
Yeah.
Roostafarian.
Oh,
He came up with that.
that.
That was the name of his seat cover.
But you came up with that, didn't
Yeah, I
you?
know. I thought
Oh,
he
that's a
didn't.
real
I did-
premeditated thing.
I did a Rastafarian seat for him.
And
that's
I called
what
it
Did people know what it was, or did they think it was a rainbow?
No one even said anything. But it was I said, yeah, you could call it. You should make these Bradley Chapman limited edition. Call it Roostafarian.
Dude, Can I steal that and use it when I
Go
sell
for
these
it.
shirts?
But you
He
better
does
call
not.
me out.
He does not. Yeah, you better make sure everybody knows it came from him.
Roostafarian by Bradley Chapman.
No, I don't care.
Did Bradley
Use it.
tell you that he almost got beat up this past weekend?
No, he didn't.
No,
What'd
he
you do?
I saw Tyler walking, and I was eating an apple, and I finished it, and I threw it at him and hit him.
Hard.
And he like fucked up. And he was like, I was about to kick someone's ass. He said, why'd you throw an apple at me? I said, because I didn't have a rock.
Dude, I'm just literally like talking, just got off the podium, talking about the podium, and dude, I just get drilled with something that was wet. So like, not only did I get drilled with something, but then it was wet, and I was ready to start swinging. And I saw that it was him, and I was like, dude, anybody else, I don't know how I would have reacted in that situation.
Dude, Bradley, you tear him up, man.
Yeah.
You would destroy
I'll
him.
see how he fights. I
Yeah.
watch him.
You studied him.
I just got to get on him like a backpack.
And he'll just sit there. We'll sit here for 2 minutes. We'll rest it out.
Oh. See, this is why these shows are fun.
You need to put the link from that fight in this like description, so everybody knows what we're talking about. We should do like a commentary to it. one day.
I'll put it.
Or re-wrestleables.
I'll put a link to it in the description of the YouTube video.
Timestamp it and everything. Does that event still happen?
Yeah. So they changed it last year. Last year they did like an actual tournament, but when I did it, it was called a showcase. But we like got introduced like it was real fights and like it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But then they like paired you up with whoever. But I think they just started doing that again this year. I've actually been looking to try to get back into it. Maybe train for a little bit before. Actually, at that time I was back at a gym for like a few months.
You went to the one down the road, didn't you?
Yep. Which that gym down the road, dude, they had 4 UFC fighters there when I was there. Chris Weidman, former middleweight champion in the UFC, he trained at that gym.
It's now like a ammo shop now or something, right?
Dude, half gun store, half action figures.
Hey.
Like the other side of it is like action figures and like Ninja Turtles and Spider-Man and stuff.
Sounds like someone else's house I know.
Who?
I went in there the other
Devin
day.
Byrum.
I have a daughter, and so yes, there's a bunch of toys in my house, dummy.
He just bought them 8 years in advance just to prepare.
How about that TRX though? You still use it?
Huh?
The
Look.
TRX.
He had so many toys, he had to give them away.
What are you talking
The
about?
workout thing.
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I can tell.
Dude, this is how dumb we were. Bradley used to.
Hey, this guy right here and that guy right there, they made the intro for OTP. This guy.
He podiumed at the last Supercross.
Yeah.
you did.
Everyone was.
I
dead.
talked. So I
450 podium.
I was in the pits in Daytona. And I walked up to him. I was like, "Hey, you know Devin Byrum?" He was like, "Who's Devin Byrum?"
Ah,
I don't know who that is.
No.
And then we got a Zach Osborne
You said-
bike.
You mean Kevin? Why ain't he ever on the show again?
He's been on twice.
Get
Me and
in
him,
there.
we did a full show. We did like an hour show.
Why is he not coming on talking about his the Yamaha ride and the races this year?
Man,
He's been hurt.
I wish that you would listen to On the Pipe podcast. He's been on the show twice.
But not talking about the Yamaha thing, like how
Yeah.
his year's been going.
We literally did an hour-long show about it.
How
It
long
was-
ago?
It was before his first race.
So now that we're in season, he's had a couple races in. It'd be nice to hear the
I
saying,
love Zacho.
right?
I don't know if he wants to talk about a season
I
right
was
now.
about to say that.
It's
Yeah.
his job. Like that's like Stu needs to come on and talk about it. It's their job.
Well, it's like, yeah, Stu, we got to hold his feet to the fire when he comes Thursday, Friday. But Zacho, he broke his elbow like right before he was about to start racing, and so he sat out the last GNGC, and he's going to sit out snowshoe and come back after summer break to let that thing heal up a little bit. So I think that's a big part of it.
Mm-hmm. I got you.
But looking at the video of the races and going back and editing it, his riding style is different. Like you can tell. Because that's one thing you talk about on the show is like how much he researched and how much work he put into his riding style and his riding. And it's so evident. Like, dude, his position everywhere is like perfect. His feet on his pegs, they're like turned in on balls and stuff. Like everywhere that he was at, his riding style was perfect. It was cool to see, like going back and looking at it.
I agree.
Random tangent.
What's else on the list?
Nothing. There's that rant about Josh Strang, but I don't know about it now. No, that the only thing I was gonna say about Strang. Thanks for reminding me. Was I think he's 34, just turned 35, at most 36, but I think he just turned 35. Like last month, maybe 2 months ago. You get the point. Anyway, Graham Jarvis, 48 years old, still competing on the world stage in hard enduro. What do you think the difference is on your body between hard enduro and like a 3-hour GNCC? Because hard enduro is not easy. That is actually in the name. It's hard enduro. That's part of it.
That's why they call it that?
I think so.
Oh.
I did Battle of the Goats on a KDX 220. It was hard. But like with Graham Jarvis competing, what?
I was just laughing at you.
Against the top guys in the world at 48 years old. But then, like, you think of, like, the Strang and the Thads and even Ashburn.
Well, look at Rodney Smith, his later years. I mean, hell, he was well in his 40s. And
Look at David James. He's in his 50-something, and he's out there
Ripping. Mac Reed, like, all them dudes. But, so that's what I'm getting at is, like,
I don't think
about-
that's
we're
world
talking about
stage,
at
though.
a professional.
Yeah, I know. But still, it's pretty impressive.
Well, then Wayne
they
Beatty.
still go faster than, like, normal people.
Well, no doubt, but, I mean,
Yeah,
this
but
is
to
at a
be,
professional
yeah,
level.
still compete. Like, Graham Jarvis, 6th place at Erzberg. That is competing
Yeah.
against the best in the world. Like, David James ain't going to go get 6th place overall at
No.
a 3-hour GNCC. Love him. Appreciate him.
No.
Not going to happen.
I was
But-
just trying to – it's impressive. Whatever.
What I'm saying, though, is, like,
I hope when I'm 60 years old, I can still at least throw my leg over it or
I
what.
hope when I'm 60 I can get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah.
How
I've been
about
through the
making
ringer.
60?
That, too. Unless I can't get out of bed in the morning, then it is what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know if I will need to get that old if I can't do anything. But so what I'm getting at though is like I wonder, and I'm not saying this for Josh. I just use Josh as an example because he's a veteran, and but like when you look at other sports, they say that your athletic prime is when you're 33 years old. But when you look at dirt bikes, 33 years old is you should have been retired 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So, like, how much is actually a physical limitation, and how much is it for some riders a mental limitation? Like, oh, I'm old, I can't keep up with the young guys anymore.
I
I'll give
think
you
it's
an
more
example.
so of I've made my money and I'm going to get out while I'm still alive.
Well, so take the money out. Robbie Norwood. This past weekend, Robbie Norwood got second at VXCS. Dylan De La Cruz won the VXCS. And he was kind of messaging me about it, and that's one of the things. He was like, as the older I get, the harder it is for me to compete with these young guys. And he's been wrapping up, like, Vet A wins everywhere he goes, like GNCC, National Enduro, all that stuff. He won the Virginia overall championship last year. So, like, that's another guy. But it's like early, mid, and even getting in your late 30s is not old. Like, it's getting old, but I mean, look at the NFL guys, look at the NBA guys, look at LeBron James. Like, all these dudes are still the best in the sport at an older age. And I just, like, 35, 36, that is your prime. Like, for a UFC fighter, that's where you're getting your title shots. That's where you're building those title runs. Like, half of the damn champions have been over 40 years old.
I think it's like just perception. Like, look at Eli Tomac. He's what, 29? And everyone's like, oh, he's old. Everyone just looks at him like he's old.
Yeah.
Do you think that people, though, there's more of a science to the body nowadays? Do you think that has anything to do with it?
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Think about, like, when we had Vance on the show. Remember, I don't know if you remember this or not, but, like, he was saying he didn't train. He didn't eat right. He didn't do anything.
Yeah.
He just rode every day.
Yep.
He would get home from work and ride till the sunset, and that's what he did.
Yep.
We know now that's not the best way to stay in shape. You know what I mean? Like, there's different training programs that you can do. There's different ways you can take care of your body. There's cryotherapy. There's massages. There's eating right. There's a lot more knowledge about nutrition and recovery and ways to track all of this stuff. So, I mean, Tom Brady, look how old he was when he just retired this year.
Well,
I hate to go back to football all the time, but it's like,
look at Mullins. Now he's like insane cyclist and like in incredible shape. Whenever he first started with Ampro Yamaha, like in 05, 06, I specifically remember him talking on the podium after a race about how he's like just now quitting drinking sodas and stuff, and like just that. You just could look at him through his whole career and how he ended, where he was just a health nut in incredible shape. Like that right there would be a perfect like example, because literally I remember in like 05, 06, he was talking about not really training other than doing the riding and things, but he was still drinking Cokes and like,
Yeah.
it's changed so much in just 15 years,
Yep.
Another thing I was just thinking about is there's always that next young kid coming into it, and I feel like they got to make room for that young kid. So it's like they can't just keep all these people on these teams when there's not enough money here. So it's like someone's got to
They can
go.
when there's 6 XC1 riders.
Yeah,
Like that's another giant thing too. Like people should be.
I'm thinking motocross mindset right now, like big money stuff. But
Yeah.
it's like I don't know.
But yeah, the off-road side of it, there should be limitations for XC2. XC2 should not be a career class. You got dudes that have been racing XC2 for 8 years, 9 years, 10 years. That's not what that class is for. You got multiple factory teams on Pro Row that have only XC2 riders.
You have a motocross champion in XC2.
Yeah. Yeah.
just a few years shy of the championship.
Yeah.
Like not years past, like right off of an outdoor championship.
And I'm sure that would have been a way bigger deal if he came out and started waxing everybody's ass.
That's why you need to ask him.
But I mean that's the thing is like specifically in off-road, I don't feel like there is that pressure because nobody wants to move up. Like there should be ways that people have to move up. And now that they took away the top 10 pay from XC1 and it's only top 15 overall, that took away what little incentive that there was to move up to XC1. But even going back to the moto thing, like you're saying Eli Tomac, he's old, they need to push him out and move on. Dude's still the best.
Yeah.
Like he might be old, he's still the best. Like if you can still compete at a high level.
But honestly, for his situation, I think it's up to him. I think they would keep him. I think it's up to him.
Yeah. I would agree with that.
Do you have anything lined up with the only two-time winner this year, Craig DeLong?
Nope, but
Because, I mean, dude's incredible this year, and that's awesome to see because he's been around for a while. And I think that that's refreshing to see, you know?
yep. I think a couple things. One, I think I've been pretty high on Craig DeLong this year on the show, like talking about him, giving him praise with what he's been doing. Also, I think the last time I actually did a proper OTP Tuesday with a guest, he was the guest on it. So he actually was the last guest on the show.
Shows how much you pay attention.
I don't really.
Well, no, that's what I'm saying. That was round 3, though, when he got his first win.
Yeah.
I need to get people on the show is what it boils down to. But then Craig DeLong is a perfect example of what we were just talking about. Craig DeLong was a longtime XC2 guy. And then he won a championship. Did he defend it? I think he did defend it. Yeah, and then Johnny won. Yeah, so he won a championship. He was like right on the cusp. But had he not won that championship, he might have stayed in XC2. And then last year he had his rookie year in XC1, and we talked about it on the show where he kind of had to get in that mindset of like coming into his own, like, hey, I'm the new guy on the block. Like, I don't need to be getting whole shots. I don't need to be winning races because I'm the new guy. And then this year, he's battling for whole shots. He's battling up front. He's the first 2-time winner. He gets his first win. And I think had he not made that move up to XC1, he might not be as good of a rider as he is now. That he was forced into XC1 and forced to get better and forced to run with that front row. And I think that's what would happen with 99% of XC2 riders that move up is they're going to get better. You take a guy, and I'm not going to throw out any names because I don't want anybody to get mad at me, but you take a guy that's like a top 5 guy, 4, 5, 6, sometimes on the podium. You take them, put them in XC1, I think within that next year, they're beating XC2 in the overall. They might not ever get to the point where they're beating XC2 from XC2 and winning that XC2 championship, but you put that same rider in XC1 for a couple years, and I bet you they'll be finishing in front of the XC2 leader from that XC1 row. Just my theory.
I feel you.
I guess
Well,
that was a really
what
stupid
should
thing
be
to
the
say.
limitations then? Like, should there be an age limit? Should there be a
I don't think it should be strictly
point
age.
out? Should there be a
They had an age limit set for Jason Thomas, who was making a career out of the kids class. He's the only one that I'll call it a kids class for. Everybody else in XC2, I love and respect you. But there should be like a point out system like motocross, I think.
Yeah. It sucks seeing only like 7 people on XC1.
Yeah. There should also be an incentive to move from XC2 to XC1.
Mm-hmm.
And I think to be a factory team on Pro Row, you should have to have an XC1 rider. I think that's probably a hot take, especially with people that are in cahoots with the show. Sorry about it. But I really think
Does Beta have an XC1 rider?
I really think that that's what's holding I'm not going to say that's what's holding the sport back, but I think that is a major thing that does limit the progression of the sport is having 5 people in XC1, 6 people in XC1. A year that everybody gets hurt, 4 people in XC1.
It doesn't look right just seeing that many that so few, cuz I mean hell, I remember when it was just one pro class and there was 35 40 people.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's different now, I guess. But
I mean, and I talked to Stu about this earlier on the phone because he called me over the weekend at Mideast, listening to mine and Craig's conversation on the podcast last week. We kind of talked about this XC2 thing, and that's what I talked to him about on the phone earlier today, is that back in those days, you had 30 people in XC1, but they were all on contract. All them dudes were on salary because they were all in XC1. Everyone was making a living in XC1. And now you got the few XC1 riders that are on contract, on salary, on factory teams, besides Lane Michael, who got abruptly kicked off of his team last year and had to put his own program together this year and just got a second-place finish on the year and is going to get another Sprint Enduro championship this year. Then you got like a handful of guys. There's probably more people on salary in XC2 than there is in XC1. So, like, it should be more incentivized to move to XC1 than to stay in XC2.
yeah. That's the premier class.
Yeah. It just looks weird when you got 4 XC1 riders taking off and then 40 on the second row.
Yeah.
Yeah, it would be cool to see at least 20.
Could you imagine an XC1 class with 20 people?
Yes, we saw it back in the past. Watch Florida. The first year that they did XC2, I think it was 07. Watch Florida 07. That front row was full.
Yeah.
I mean, at Florida, a lot of the West Coast guys are there, especially back then. But
Like
I mean,
motocross guys and
yeah. Go back and watch 07. 07 was probably it. 08 kind of, that's when the crash kind of happened and rides got
yeah.
kind of. But watch 07. It's on like Racer TV or whatever. And
Yeah.
I missed that, man.
Even
what's
I
it
think
gonna
last year there was 16 in Florida, and that was like the most XC1 riders I can remember.
What's it going to take to get more? I feel like nobody wants to put themselves through that. I don't know. I mean, obviously people want to put themselves through it. They're just not good enough to be an XC1. But
My biggest argument for everybody, and that's what I told Trevor Barrett, and that's what I told Ben Nelko, and that's what I told basically anybody that'll listen to me. If you don't think in your heart of hearts that you're going to line up on that XC2 line for a championship every weekend, not a top 5, championship. If you don't think that you're a championship contender, why are you in XC2? That's the way I see it. Because
no one remembers who finished second or third or
yeah. Well, not only that.
no one.
So this year it kind of changes it because they changed their payouts. But my argument for it in years past was that GNCC paid out to top 10 in XC1. And there was never 10 riders. Not ever. So you go spend your money to race XC2. You don't get talked about on the broadcast. No one even knows you exist. And if you're not winning, and even if you're winning, you don't get mentioned on the broadcast.
Yeah.
And so you get no benefit of it. And you're battling and you're losing money. Where if you went up to XC1, you get pro rider introductions. You get that spot on Pro Row. You get that time on Racer TV where everyone sees your sponsor. So now you're presenting a more value for your sponsor because they got the rider introductions where they tell everybody who your sponsors are and you do your wheelie or whatever. Then you get a clear track in the front row. You got a row of veteran guys that are all going to get in a train and ride together for the first lap instead of trying to win the race on the first lap and punt you into a tree. and you're going to get talked about if you're running up front. You're going to see those guys as lines. You're going to have a fresh track. When you catch back up to the lappers, there's already going to be a few XC1 guys that come by, so now they know that you're coming, and they're going to get out of your way. It seems like every benefit is there to be an XC1 rider. Now, you don't get paid for top 10 in XC1. Like, Strang got, I think, 8th place at a race, but he was outside top 15, so he got $0. They just paid the top 15 straight up. So same thing too. Like if this ever happens where you happen to win XC2, but you were in 16th place overall, it wouldn't happen. But if it did, you wouldn't make any money. Seems weird.
Yeah.
Do you have to stay on the lead lap to win money in GNCC?
I think you have to stay on the lead lap of your class.
Because I know at Mid-East they always make the point, you have to stay on the lead lap to get the money.
Yeah, that's because they don't want to have to pay money.
Yeah, I figured.
What are you doing?
His phone's about to die, I guess.
No.
I feel like we missed a big topic with Erzberg.
What was the big topic at Erzberg?
How did Ryan Eccles do?
How did Ryan Eccles do?
I don't
I don't
know.
know.
I'm asking you.
There's no way to see.
Oh,
He hasn't posted anything yet, and I tried to look for like results to see what checkpoints people made it to, and because I wanted to see how Will did too. I wasn't able to see that.
Did David Knight race it, or is like he not doing that anymore?
I'm not sure. He was supposed to be racing GNCCs this year.
Huh?
Really?
In pro class?
He might have been racing a vet class. No, it might have been pro class. His nephew was supposed to be racing.
Could you
And
imagine
he
being,
was supposed to be
being
racing.
some like, I don't know how old David Knight is. He's got to be in his 40s or maybe 50s.
I don't know.
He's probably.
But could you
40.
imagine being like, oh, I'm training for 40 plus A this year, and you go line up first row, and there's David Knight, like,
Yeah.
hey.
What,
Pack
dude?
my stuff up.
Look at Jason Thomas racing Vet A now. Like, dude did everything he could to not race against the actual pro riders. Like XC2, XC3, XC2 again. And now he's racing Vet A.
Well, he's been removed for a little while.
I think your dog likes me.
But still,
I got you.
I don't get it. Like, imagine Caleb Russell signing up for Vet A.
He probably will one day.
Maybe one day.
Who knows?
But anyway, with that being said, I'll let you guys get out of here. I do appreciate you guys stopping by. I think this was actually a really entertaining and really fun episode. It was a fun episode for me, so I hope you all enjoyed it.
I hope
Thanks.
the viewers enjoyed it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, man. It is nice to come back and do this again. And definitely, the setup is solid, way better than before.
Thanks.
So,
Yeah,
We
thanks
just
for
need
the
to-
invite.
We need to decorate.
In true Tyler fashion, it was last minute.
yeah, he called me like. or
Better
texted
late
me,
than
like,
never.
Better late than never.
In advance would be cool, but
Well, I texted Bradley first, and I know you won't ever come over here unless Bradley's here. So then once Bradley was coming,
literally 50% of the time I come here, Bradley's not here.
literally
This is my
Wait
first
away.
time being here.
What do you think?
Looks great.
Neat.
need some work. But I think we're going to move the studio down that way. And then I'm going to put that TV behind it so then I can like play videos and stuff behind me.
I like that idea.
I can hang Devin's excess toys around.
I got an idea.
What?
Well, never mind. That's
What
a
is it?
stupid idea.
No, what is it?
Instead of doing, if you can't put
That's so stupid.
if you
dude.
can't put your bike series together, why don't you have like a like an e-bike race at Poston Park with all the GNCC riders and see who could win?
I got to delete this from the program. That's a really good idea. That would be cool.
But you have to be like, you can't be like an e-bike racer. You got to be like,
Oh, and then I could use that when I run for mayor of Lowell.
yeah.
You're running for mayor?
Yeah, we talked about this, I thought.
Like Charlie Mullins can't come and show everybody up. Like it needs to be like Strang and
Current GNCC pros.
yeah. So all 6 of them.
That would be cool.
If-
Especially in summer
You
when there's
can't-
nothing else going on.
You can't even get them to come to your show.
There's that. Well, if we pay some money,
I got you.
everyone gets out of bed for money.
And Poston's fun. They would like Poston.
Poston is solid.
I wonder what you would have to do to like have an organized event.
They have them.
The
I don't know if they have a
insurance fees would be
race. I know they have like. Well, look at the daggum pump track. The first day it opened, there was 400 people on that little bitty thing,
That's because
Yeah.
going in all different directions.
yeah.
So
And Josh Hill on a dirt bike.
yeah.
Yeah, that would be cool. No, I mean, dude, the race series, I still believe that's a good idea. I don't know how to go about it. I want it to be done right,
I got you.
and I want it to make a difference. I want it to change the sport. Like, that's literally my goal. That's why you and I started this podcast. And like, that hasn't changed my mindset. Obviously, this past year I've had to find a way to make a living by doing this, which I've done. But now, like, the focus has always been to change the sport. And now, just a benefit of that focus is that now I can make a living off this sport as well. But there's still so much more on the table left to do, I think.
Yeah.
So, nice Cody Gregg shirt.
Thank you.
Nice OTP shirt.
Thank you.
Very vibrant. That actually does look
It
good.
does, don't it?
Might be biased, but that thing is popping.
I like how it's too small.
You picked it. There was a box of all the sizes over
There's
there.
a million boxes, not one large.
If you want your On the Pipe podcast shirt, go to I don't know, whatever that. I think it's like shopify.onthepipepodcast.com. Go to our little link in our bio and click it. I need some.
You should make like umbrellas since it rains so much.
That would be good. We do have a couple shirt designs that we're coming out with. New merch. Be on the lookout for it. Other than that, be a friend, tell a friend. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening to On the Pipe podcast. Thank you, Bradley, for being here. Thank you, Devin, for being here. Thank you, Reba, for being in everyone's way.
Thanks for having me.
See you guys next time.